So you've been told your whole life that you have to do great in school. You have to have all the extracurricular activities you can get. You have to ace the ACT or the SAT. You have to even take prep courses to ace the freaking standardized tests. You have to, apply to all the best schools in case you don't get into your top choice. And you have to get recommendations if you want to go to certain schools. You can't even get in just on your merits. You have to feel all of this pressure. And if you don't do all of these things, then you're a failure. And if you do all of these things and you don't get into the college that you want, you're a failure. And it's a scam. Charlie Kirk said it was a scam, and he was right. It is a scam. And the worst part of all of it is that when you get out, the job that you typically would have been able to acquire may not even be there anymore because of AI. AI is taking 40% of the entry level positions they expect. For a lot of people, that's a big problem. I mean, if you go to school and 9 of your classmates all have the same degree, the 10 of you, only 6 of you will actually get jobs. And then what's the pay scale going to be on something like that? Like, are they going to pay you the same as what they would have if AI wasn't doing 40% of those jobs, or are they going to pay you less? Because there's more competition for those 6 slots, right? A lot of people are saying that blue collar jobs are the way to go. And I tend to agree. I think that if you don't have any qualms about going in there and getting your hands a little bit dirty and, learning a trade, you're going to get in and out of school faster. You probably will get paid while you learn, depending on which trade it is. Even if you don't, you're going to have less debt when you're done. And I didn't go to trade school exactly, but I would assume that if you went and started pursuing one trade and decided you didn't like it, you could switch to something else, and you'd still get out faster than you would if you're going for 4 years. I don't know, man. It's a good option. It's a really good option. If you don't believe me, just listen to this guy. He's the CEO of NVIDIA, which is like the number one company in the world.
If you're an electrician, you're a plumber, if you're a carpenter, we're going to need hundreds of thousands of them to build all of these factories. And the skilled craft segment of every economy is going to see a boom. You're going to have to build, you're going to have to keep doubling and doubling and doubling and doubling every single year. And I think that you're going to be building out AI infrastructure here in UK for a decade.
For an economy that is struggling at the moment, what are the risks for the UK if we don't grasp this opportunity?
Just as the last industrial revolution, the reason why it came about was because you needed it. And so the industrial revolution that started here in the UK came out of need. You need it now too. If you're an electrician,
He said hundreds of thousands. This guy also said in a separate interview, I guess, that the next generation of U.S. millionaires he expects to be plumbers and electricians. So consider this. You get out of school at 20, trade school. Okay, you get your feet wet for a few years, and then you know what you're doing. After a few more years, you really know what you're doing. By the time you're 30, you might know the business well enough to start your own. Hang a shingle, start your own business. And at that point, you've got connections. You know the business. You know what it takes to be successful. And you absolutely can become a millionaire. um, before you're 40, I would think, which is pretty great. Pretty great. But more important than just money is financial security. So if they say that a lot of young people, they don't want to start families at an early age or at a young age because they're insecure about their futures. Now, a lot of young people will say that they just want to have fun or whatever, but supposedly a lot of young people are uncomfortable with the idea of getting settled down and having kids at a young age because they don't think that they'll have the money to take care of them. And that's true if you went to school for 4 years and you have $100 something thousand worth of debt and you can't even afford to like buy a house or anything or have a nice place to live because you're so saddled with debt from college that you're screwed basically. So I get that. I get that sentiment that you want to like work towards paying off your college tuition before anything else, because also if you're not aware, like if you haven't gone to college yet, they play a lot of funny games with those student loans. Like I went to college, so I got a 4 year degree, and then I got a 2 year degree after that because my 4 year degree wasn't paying anything. I mean, that was my fault. But anyway, I got a 2 year degree that was something that would allow me to get into the workforce right away, make good money right away, and so on and so forth. But even that necessitated a student loan package that was crazy. Like, it ended up being like a bunch of different individual loans, the first of which started like a couple months or something after I was starting school. So all of the interest and stuff was gaining the whole time I was in college and accruing. And so after being out of college for several years, I'm talking like several years, I owed more money on my student loans than I owed the first day I got out of college, right? So because of interest and because the interest rates were they were all different rates. And like I said, like some had started accruing while I was still in college, and it was a mess. So I was fortunate enough that I was able to barely squeak by and afford a house. It was a foreclosure. It was all tore up on the inside. It was a mess. But I kind of, rebuilt everything on the inside, and I barely had enough money to pay for a mortgage. But because I did it that way, it was worth a lot more than what I owed on it, and I was able to like borrow against the house, and that's how I paid off my student loans. So, it sucks. Like student loans are a real major burden for people, and I get that. But if you go to trade school, chances are you're not going to owe as much, and you'll make pretty solid money right off the bat, at least compared to what you would be making as a freaking sophomore in college, junior in college, right? So I highly recommend going to trade school for anybody who's looking at doing that. And it's not just because of AI and the jobs that AI is going to take away, but like with the tariffs and stuff, there's a lot of companies that, whether they're just afraid of Trump or they are just trying to appease him or whatever the reason, they're all making these big commitments to reinvest in the US manufacturing, and they're reshoring some of their operations. And so that means that these companies are going to need people to build these factories. Not only are American workers going to be required to work in these factories, but we're also going to need blue collar tradesmen and women to build the freaking factories or to expand the factories if they're due for expansion or whatever's going on, whatever these commitments are that they're investing. It's going to require some people who have skills to be able to implement these things. And so that's where you're going to come in if you've got those skills. And then they're going to pay you top dollar to do those jobs. So I think it's a great time to get into the field actually, or whatever field it is, electrician, plumber. There's lots of other trades too. I think it's a good time to pursue these things, and it's a good time to avoid many of the degrees that you might get in a 4 year college. And I'll tell you another. You can also, if you are working for a company, and you're not, if you're not working for yourself, but you're working for a company, there's lots of companies that will pay for you to go back to school if you want to pursue that. I just got a master's degree and I paid like $7 a freaking week or something. Not even a week, like $4 a week out of pocket, and the company paid for the rest of it. And it was like cake, you know. It was like no financial burden on me whatsoever. The company pretty much took care of it. It was great. So if you want to pursue something like that, you totally can, depending on the circumstances. But you don't probably need to, you know. I highly would advise any young person who's on the fence about which way to go. Definitely, I would go for the trades. And like I said, if you ever want to pursue a 4 year degree later on, I'm sure there's a company that will pay for you to do that, or you'll have made the money to just be able to pay for it yourself, frankly, if you really want to pursue that. But anyway, I wish anybody who is going down this road, thinking about these things, I wish them luck and the best. And I wish the best for our country, because I think that the more people that pursue going into the trades, the better off we will all be. We won't have to be so reliant on China and other countries that have these like manufacturing know-how that we've long forgotten about. We will be able to have people in the trades or in the blue collar jobs who are doing things in our country, and they will be able to learn new ways of doing those things, and we will be able to innovate, because the reason China has gone from low technology manufacturing to high technology manufacturing is because they're actually manufacturing. They're learning how to make the manufacturing process better by doing the manufacturing. And so that's what we are missing in our country, is we're not able to improve the modes and methods of manufacturing because we're not doing it. So the same will apply to the trades. The more people that go into them, the more people will be able to like innovate, like change a few little things to make them better, and it will really help our country as a whole. We're not going to just be successful only by having Silicon Valley and that crew, in Wall Street. Having blue collar people in our midst doing great things for the country, that's going to be the best thing for the most people in our country, and I really believe in it. And like I said, I wish you all well. God bless. Thank you.